do not have time to get into today, but we do in our seminar that we're also putting a DVD out, is sexual escalation. The idea of guys being able to, you know, call sex chat lines. You know, we don't do it a lot anymore, but that's because we know how fucking expensive it is. Sexual escalation can occur over text or over the phone. Think about if you've ever had like an erotic or a sudden erotic conversation over like AIM, like AOL. It's the exact same thing as texting. That takes intimacy and emotion, of course. But for now, we're going to focus on the first two. Text game. So general concepts of texting. A text message, for those of you that don't know, and don't laugh because there are some people that just don't know this stuff, so I'm going to go through as thoroughly as I can. A text message can contain up to 140 characters on most phones. Text will overlap into subsequent messages, resulting in more than one sent to the target's phone. I've got a BlackBerry. That's what BlackBerries do. Never exceed 140 characters unless your target has, and then match the frequency of such overlaps as necessary. On the iPhone, just take it easy. You guys have just a word thing. Basically what this means in kind of nicely worded erudite philosophy here is that don't text a lot. If you're going to text like 180, 200, 250 characters every time, you should just be on the fucking phone. You know, texting is cool for little quips. You know, maybe she's in class, maybe she's at work. Hey, what's up? Hey, what are you doing? What are you wearing? Oh, I'm wearing nothing. Oh, why don't you prove it? Oh, send me a picture. Oh, you send me one first. Well, I asked first. You know, stuff like that. It's not like, so, what do you think about Buddhism? You know, literally. That's interesting, but it's going to fucking blow you out of the water, right? So that's super straightforward, but it's a really important part. Okay, general concepts of texting. Emoticons are a really weird, kind of questionable thing. For those of you that don't know emoticons, my definition that I spent probably much too long writing is that an emoticon is a textual portrayal of a writer's mood or facial expression during the text. They are often used as to alert a responder to the tenor or temper of a statement and can change and improve the interpretation of a plain text. So the idea is you're going to add something to enhance your text. This comes in really handy. There are three main types. The first one is your happy smiley face, colon, and parentheses. Happy, warm, friendly. Use this with sarcasm. I'll get into this in a little bit, but I want to throw it out there first. The next is your wink, semicolon, and parentheses, right? Naughty, mischievous, could even be mischievous. Any of them, right? This is when you're saying something like, oh, you want to like, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no, you know? Then all the other shit, okay? The fucking anime crap and the boobs and they do the horns or like, I don't know what the fuck that is. But girls send it to me all the time, right? You get it every once in a while and you're like, what the fuck is that? Because I read like quite well, not to float my own boat, but I'm fucking up here talking in front of you guys, so hoo-ha, right? I read quite well, so when someone does like less than D or something like that, and I read it and I'm like, see you soon, less than D. I'm like, what does that mean? And she's like, oh, it's a smiley face with eyebrows in kind of a forlorn, pensive man. I'm just like, fuck, I don't know what that means. So I don't meddle with that shit. Mainly because happy, warm, friendly, naughty, mischievous, the only emotions I need to portray over text. We're talking about, I mean specifically we're talking about same night lays. What other emotions do you really need? Sexuality, mischievousness, happiness, friendliness, fun, spontaneity, all that stuff is super positive, and that's how you forward an interaction, you know. There is no like pensive stage of the game, or like sad, like, oh, I'm from banter, I'm going into comfort, how do I get into sad? Like, we don't do that, we don't focus on that stuff. A lot of people will do something, will say like, oh, what about mirroring? Matching a particular style of emoticon that a girl sends you. There is some credit to that, but I don't do it. The reason is because I'm not going to bend my frame enough to make her like think that I'm trying to contact her through her weird emoticon like side plot or whatever. I don't know. The truth of the matter is, the way that this stuff works is that we associate things, we associate feelings with these particular images, right? She associates particular feelings with her particular emoticons as well, and we don't really know how those are going to come off. You know, we don't know how she's going to interpret that particular anime horn-winged bat creature that she sends us, so we're not just going to send it back. You know, I've got a girl that I really, really like that texts me meow all the time. And then sometimes I'll say something she likes and she'll be like, meow, meow. That's fucking weird. If you weren't so hot, you'd be out the door in a second. Sarcasm is super dangerous, and this is, someone asked me why I even bring this up. I'm from Boston, I'm from the East Coast, I make fucking sarcastic comments all the time, right?
Yeah.
And in California, you're a fucking asshole, you're not sarcastic, right? Who's that angry guy, right? What is he doing? Here's the thing, as a general rule, don't do it. Don't do it over the phone, don't do it over texting, unless you've pre-calibrated and the woman is totally into you and you understand each other's sense of humor. Every once in a while, you'll meet a girl that has this great sense of humor, and you're like, oh, thank God. You know, I went back for Christmas, and everyone was like being sarcastic, and I got into it. And I literally, like, I became this sarcastic creature for like 7 days, and I got back on the plane, and the stewardess was like, hi, how you been? And I'm like, well, I'm pretty cold, what do you think? And she was like, ah. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to California. Here's the reason I say this. Sarcasm is dangerous over text, and it can be easily misinterpreted. Cockiness, arrogance, sarcasm. Okay? Add a smiley, just a simple smiley face to any sarcastic text, and she will be left with a warm, friendly feeling, the smiley, rather than a misinterpreted, puzzled, or threatened feeling, okay? The reason why I say this is because it doesn't matter if she gets the joke. It doesn't matter if she understands your sarcasm. You want to make sure she feels good about it. It matters how she feels about it. Conflicting emotions will default to the easiest to identify, in which case it's going to be a fucking smiley face. You all know that you've had like that dumb girl at the bar that you've been like running your silly shit, and then you make kind of a joke, and she just goes, haha, okay? And you're like, and she's smiling, and you're like, why, you don't even know why are you smiling? It's because you're smiling. You're just letting her go with the flow. Okay, general concept of texting. How often to text between texts? This is where I really decided I would take this bull by the horns. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff on the internet about texting, and like, I mean, of course I haven't read it all, but 70% of the stuff I read is absolute shit. It's all wrong. There's stuff that's like, oh, you know, why say that's amazing when you could say freaky deaky, you know? Well, because that sounds fucking gay. So that's why we don't say that shit, you know? A lot of it is how often to text between texts. A lot of stuff says, wait the time she took to text you, okay? I'm going to say the only way that you can converse with her, and we were talking about this the other, I don't know where I went, but we were talking about this just earlier, the only way that you can have a conversation with someone is if you put in the effort to respond quickly. There are basically, I mean, the example that I always give is, okay, there's a girl, she really likes you. You haven't texted her yet. You met at a club on Friday night, you haven't talked, it's Wednesday night, and she's been just dying to hear from you, but she's a girl, so she's not going to text you, you know. She's dying to hear from you, and you send her a text at 7:30, right? And you're like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? Don't send her that text seriously, but essentially you say something like that, right? She's going to go, she's going to have a response, she's going to be super excited, but say she just got in the shower, okay? 7:29 she gets in the shower, right? By the time she's cleaned up her body, she's all thinking about you, maybe she masturbated thinking about you. Yes, girls masturbate. She's blow-dried her hair, she's done her lotion, she's out, it's, you know, whatever, an hour and a half later, it's fucking 9 o'clock. And she gets your text, and she's like, oh my God, he texted me. But this book I read, flirt texting, says that I should wait the time it takes him to text me.